My friend, I was wondering how to approach this. Long story short, how do you teach music to people who don't know music, that have never had anybody explain any type of music to them, can't understand what words are, what the definitions are, and it doesn't make sense? So every time somebody does talk to them about music or they hear music being talked about, it always seems like it's. Well, what I'd like to do is demystify that, take 5 to 10 minutes, and then maybe put this video out there and urge people who like music to try to join this channel. Become a member and be privy to Q&A with me. If I can't figure out the answer, I will find the answer and I will get it to you. The whole idea of music is to take something we call tertiary harmony and understand that when we have notes that fall on lines, they represent certain tones. Particular tones like these, if we were going to put any notes on any clef, that clef we would probably call the treble clef. Now, there are multitudes of clefs. Clefs originally have not been scripted on lines, but they were just a sense of feeling talked about and using different positions of the hand and the finger and the person that would be leading the choral. Now, this was before music was invented, being able to notate this on the stave or the staff. And when we put beams to separate these into something called a measure, we're able to count what beats or tempos are inside this measure. So the whole point of music on a fundamental level is to have a wavelength, which is high, or a low wavelength. The lower ones obviously having a bigger wavelength with higher peaks, lower troughs, and the shorter ones having smaller durations in betwixt the two. The whole point of seeing waves like this one having a G, B, and a D is to hear the stacking. When we hear this, it's a major third. This is a minor third. So all of music goes through a stacking process that allows us to combine tones that do one of two things. They either sound good, and they're called consonances, or they sound bad, or tense, and they're called dissonances. This is a very familiar type of dissonance. This is called a diatone or a half step. When you play a major, even though that's still a dissonance, it's less of a dissonance than the minor second. So a minor second plus a minor second equals a major second. When we talk about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then do, we are talking about a 1, a 4, and a 5. We're talking about a 2, a 3, and a 6. And then lastly, we talk about a 7. Each of which have sonority, which means out of all music that you will ever hear or ever have being played, like even if we went over here and watched a little diddly-doo on the piano, if we were playing something like... When playing anything on any instrument, the notes that you are using will be stacked, and they will be correlating to what I just did. The first chord I just played there was called a G minor. So what I did was I switched the order of what this major third and this minor third was stacked at. Now the major third's up top and the minor third's down below. Out of here, we've got a major chord, and a major chord. We have a minor, 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 and this last one, although it starts with a minor third being stacked, it also has a minor third. So the three different variables that we can have are either called major, minor, or diminished. And the unfortunate part about a lot of music is that this is the basic foundation you just need to be able to play in any key on any instrument or sing. This is what we learn from. This is what we change. So if I wanted to say, these are scale positions, and the scale positions are intervals. So if we went, ah, 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 to hear what they sound like. When we practice them on any instrument, we go slow and silly and boring, 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 boring. But after the boring phase, little things you practice start to make a lot more sense, and they become a lot of fun. Pattern recognition. Being able to put one concept like, this is a staff, a stave, as we said. Well, rather than just having the treble clef where this note is the aforementioned G, this is a B, that's a D, all of these lines and spaces have names. There are ways to learn them, but I don't teach silly ways of going face or the lanes of the spaces or all good boys eat cows daily or something. Music is hard. There's no point to learn additional information which has nothing to do with music. So what I try to do is teach two things. I try to teach chordal recognition, seeing chords as triads. I also teach that with something called the circle of fifths. So being able to count 5 notes this way and 5 notes this way, it's called fourths and then fifths. What is above, so shall be below. If we play F, C, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, this way we do B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and then C flat. What we have are a series of chords or keys that either add sharps and flats or add concepts of seeing relativity. So what we would do is say C major has no sharps and flats. G has 1 sharp, that sharp is F sharp. When we keep adding these sharps, which alter the sound, we would let's put it on the bass clef. The bass clef isn't like the treble clef. Treble clef, when we erase the top of the treble clef, we're left with a lowercase g. That's why the treble clef is called the G clef. The bass clef kind of looks like an F if you draw lines between the colons, which mean to analyze music. So a standard bass clef would look something like that. I'm not a great drawer, but if you drew lines, it would make it a little F. That's what I see as being the bass clef. And clef just declares whether it's low, whether it's high. Let's say we're on the bass clef and we put a G on the bottom line, which is the G. F, E, D, C, B, A, G. In music, it's very important to be able to go F, E, D, C, G, and then A, C, sharp, E, and think of patterns as notes. But till you get to the point where you're going, ha, 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 and being able to name those as far as their tonal values on any instrument, slow and fast, we then just start off with these tones. So we will go through the process of learning these 3 types of triads, giving us tertiary harmony. It'll either be a major, a minor, or a diminished. And then the other one you would need to know is a 1, 3, and then a sharp 5. Now again, sharps and flats are the augmentation. So if we were playing this tone on the bass clef and we heard this note, we would put a sharp right here, and that would augment or go up a half pitch in an augmentation. If you're doing a diminishment, you would be going down. So this same note, you can do like here we would have the B. If we've got a half note as a B here, ooh, it's an anacrusis, how fun. If we were to do this half note as a B here and put a B flat, we would be diminishing the tone. So you would not hear a B natural, you would hear a B flat. And as far as these accidentals, the only other accidentals nobody's ever heard is called a double sharp or a double flat. Those are them. These are those. Natural, double sharp, double flat, sharp, flat. These are how we look at notes. So if you say, over here, C, well, C sharp, C double sharp. I mean, yeah, triple, quadruple, but nobody really talks like that. We only use it in the context up to the triple. So out of learning how to see notes are going to be on a lower clef or a lower staff, a higher staff like the treble, knowing what the interval is and what their distance is between them, this is what we look at for any instrument. And I gotta say, the part of the whole thing in music, which is the little bit boring part, is getting used to just doing the regiments. So being able to go, and then doing it backwards. And then being able to move that and keep within key. By doing this, you're playing modally and you don't know it in the beginning, but hearing those tones is what's the most important thing. So I would say to anybody who's playing with an instrument, or they're playing with their voice, or they're just trying to get a grasp on what music is, or music is to them, this is a quick explanation of just the core fundamental. What does that mean? Those triad things that we were talking about, when I talk with students about the key of C major, which is the best one to learn first, we would simply say there are no sharps and flats in the key of C major. So the 1 would be the C, the 2, D, 3, E, 4, G, A, 5, and then B. Noticing that the uppercase letters that I draw are majors, oops and doozles, and then the lowercase letters with the marking of the minor exhibit the minor. And then this is a minor, but it has a minor third as well, so we put a little circle for the diminished. Being able to say that the triad that I'm playing for my 1 chord is a C, E, G is as simple as moving these over each time. What does a minor third sound like, or what is it spelled like? Well, we look at our instrument, and then we either add or subtract sharps or flats. And at a point, this seems overwhelming, like there's a lot of information, but truly, just doing C, D, E, F, G, thinking of this as your leader finger, puts us over to the piano, and it gives us the ability to see these as being nothing more than just harmonies. Starting with middle C, being able to play C, E, and G, and then moving these up gives us the aforementioned tertiary harmony and allows us to play all the chords in C. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, C major. C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F, C, E, G. None of them had sharps or flats. So when we go to keys that do, let's say like not G major, the first, by going up our circle fifths, as C goes to G, how about G to D? Because when I play G, its fifth is D. So D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. These are just mechanisms by which we learn how to play 7 notes in a grouping of scales. Those scales can be altered to give us different feelings of different chords, so we can start making melodies. And then you would add different notes in order with harmonies out of the key you learned. When we try this, we're looking at arpeggios, 1, 3, 5 kind of stuff, and then we can add notes to that. A lot of music is just experimentation too. So having said all that, the core basis behind this, if you could look at this kind of blah, 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 listen to the words coming out of my mouth, mouthity, mouth, and just take away one part of this, that's all you need. The 3 parts are understanding the staffs, understanding the notes that go in a series of tones called a scale. In this one, it's called a diatonic scale. It has 7 tones. And then lastly, understanding the circle fifths. So if you could look up diatonic scale, you could look up circle fifths, and then you could look up the grand staff. Those are 3 wonderful things for people who know nothing about music to just get their foot in the door and start understanding how to talk music. Hope that makes sense. Aloha.